only the first time we've ever had a repeat guest here in the studio, so welcome back.
Cool, maybe they won't push my session back 30 minutes again.
Hey, listen, you're famous now.
Hey y'all, I'm Teddy Swims and you're watching Billboard News.
It's Tetris with Billboard News, and I'm hanging out with my fellow homie from Georgia, Teddy Swims.
Hey,
what's up, man?
It's so good to be back with you, man.
She's the devil in a dress. It felt like love for a minute. Guess you can't hold a commitment. I lose control.
Lose Control, Hot 100 Top 10, your first time in the top 10 on the chart, man. How's that feel?
It feels great. I'm just humbled and justified, you know?
And I mean, the promo tour for the song, to me, has been so impressive. You've been on the Kelly Clarkson show, The Voice, Today Show. How has it been to like be in front of all these audiences performing this song?
It's really amazing. I think especially with Kelly, like that was just so cool to be such a huge fan forever. You know, where she was like this whole season, she's like, just give me Teddy Swims, give me Teddy Swims. And I was just so thrilled that she was like such a fan, you know, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect the kind of energy of her being such a fan, and it was such a huge thing.
And then she's one of the best vocalists
of all time.
Yes, of all time. So to have her respect your voice.
It was such a huge honor. I feel like it's so cool seeing people that I grew up loving that are also fans of mine now, and just being like, well, it's, you know, I'm merely a Kelly Clarkson fan. You know what I mean? If you like my voice, then it's because of you, Kelly. You know, so I'm just so grateful for that.
And then to perform a song like that, I mean, the song has 500 million streams now.
God knows,
so obviously
really?
It's resonating with people. So what do you feel like about this song specifically? Of everything you've recorded has resonated so much with fans?
You know, I felt like when we recorded it and when we first wrote it, I felt like, oh, this is gonna change my life. Like you just had that feeling, you know, and it's one of the first times I really had that feeling of like, oh, this is gonna change my life. I just know it is, and I mean, I'm happy that I get to. I guess it makes the pain I went through super necessary. You know, I'm super grateful that now that person broke my heart, you know, and shattered it. And I think it's so great to know that that pain is necessary because it got me to this place. And you know, pain is paying the bills still. So
pain is paying the bills.
You know what I mean? It sure is. And I mean, I'm trying to not be like. I'm trying to stop putting myself in positions to get hurt and pay the bills, because you don't always have to do that, but I'm thankful that this one is. You know, they say the best type of revenge is success, so there you have it, you know?
And for the listeners out there that are connecting with the song, like tell me a little bit about the story behind this, because there's substance abuse. There's obviously, you know, deeper meanings to what Lose Control is all about.
Well, you know, I felt like we got very codependent, and to talk about this first, I always make sure to say like we're both better off, we're doing well, and there's no bad blood about any of it. But you know, I just it's, you know, when you're with somebody and you're in a situation like that, I felt like we're just kind of codependent on our lifestyle. We're living together, and it was hard for us to break away from that lifestyle. We're living together and feeling like there was no way out. And sometimes you love somebody so much, there's just not. You just don't belong together. And as cliche as it is, you know, love something, you really got to let it go. And we both are better off without each other. And that was the hardest thing about that relationship was, you know, continuing to keep I guess there's like a diminished returns on those kind of love, you know, on those, the oxytocin and the dopamine rushes of the highs we had together. And I feel like that just kind of became our lifestyle together, and our lifestyle became something that can't last forever. You know, you can't have that and this together. It's just, you become enabling each other, and that's kind of what we were doing there. And I feel very, very grateful now to see both of us succeeding in our own ways and being better not together, you know. And that's a rough reality, but it's true, and it's beautiful that way.
I lose control.
But when you go through like an emotional, you know, tumultuous relationship like that, how long do you take before you're able to turn that into art? Like, do you go into the studio right away? Like, when did you write Lose Control?
You know, what's so wild about that? So that one and like maybe 6 of the songs from the record all came from this one camp we did back in February before we were split up. And
really?
Yeah, and it was so strange is that it's like, you know, I guess my subconscious and my brain and my heart were writing these songs and telling myself to get out of this situation and that I was going through this. but I was so just dumbing myself down with alcohol and substances that I just like, I didn't even know. I wasn't even there for myself. And my subconscious was like, hey, you need to do this.
Your
heart,
subconscious was your own.
Yeah.
Your subconscious was your therapist.
yeah, your heart is telling you to do something, and you're just dumbing yourself down that you don't even know it's telling you to tell you. Like, it's not. And so I was like, I wasn't even there for myself the whole time, and my heart was just sitting there telling me like, dude, you know. And I was having these nightmares all the time, and I was like, and my brain was trying to tell me something, you know. My heart was trying to tell me something. I just was not listening to myself at all. I was just like, just living in this thing, thinking there was no way out, and I had the answers.
Well, you titled the album, I've Tried Everything But Therapy. So talk to me about like the name of the album and kind of like those writing sessions and where you ended up, because it's been since September that you put the album out, and it's had a good response.
It has a good response. Well, you know, I thought for myself, it was a promise to myself that, you know, that I was gonna get like the help that I needed, and maybe kind of open the door to talking about therapy, and it was kind of a promise to myself that I would get started. And now that I'm back home and off the road, I still haven't started. But
I was about to say, from what I've heard, you still haven't been to therapy yet.
Yeah, I know. I lied to everyone.
Everyone. The man named his album this.
But I am going to start. You know, I am. It's just that we're finding that person currently, and you know, and always that anxiety of just like, is this going to change my fabric of my being? And it's like, nah, it's not. You know, it's not. And there's nothing wrong with me. I don't know why I just like, but I like my little tics and my little anxiety that I have, and my own ways of like, which is not a right way to go about it, but I've always had these certain, like, I'm comfortable in my existence like it is, and I'm terrified of change in that way, and I don't want it to. I don't know. Maybe what if I find out? I don't know. I don't know what I'm so nervous about, you know. But
what you're gonna find out about yourself,
right? And don't I want to know what is the Thelonious Monk says? A genius is the most himself, you know. And so I think the more I learn about myself, and the older I'm getting, I want to know. But I guess there's just, maybe it's a generational thing that's always been this like thing about therapy that I'm like, you know, too baby to do it. But I'm gonna start.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. I am. But turning those anxieties into art, what is the recording process like for you when you're taking kind of these like heavier subjects and going and recording about it?
Well, a lot of times it's sometimes there are those like, you know, you have a concept that you want to write about, but a lot of times I like to just, you know, there's the chord progression going, and I just like to yell until it falls out. You know, there's always like writing melodies to words or words to melodies, but there's every once in a while that so special place where you just kind of just like just word vomit until something just happens, you know? And so I just kind of sing freely.
You're gonna leave me in the middle of the night. Set the bed on fire.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of tequila to get that brave, you know. It requires some certain bravery to do something so sacred in front of strangers sometimes, or people that you know. It's so weird. I think about music is like it's one of the only art forms that, I mean, we do have our instruments and we do have, but without it, you know, me and you could right now write a song just out of thin air with nothing but our voices, and it's something that could come straight from thin air, and we walk into a room and we leave a room with something that now has its own life and can be physically recorded and now immortalized forever.
And you said then about like kind of just like letting it out and like letting your voice out, and whatever happens, happens. So I think that's what I think about when I think of Teddy's films. Like, people don't know like where to place you, right? You have R&B, soul, rock influences. Like, there's so many genres and that come out of your voice. So do you think about that in the recording process, like where your voice is gonna go as far as the genre?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have itches I want to scratch, you know? Like, I try to not get in the way of what it is that, I think there's something circling a room, you know? Like, I was listening to that book, listening to it, you know, Rick Rubin's like The Creative Act. And it was so much of the same things that he was saying. It's just like, just getting out of the way of what the thing that is trying to drop into the room, you know? And sometimes I work with people and it's like, we need a song like sounds like this or does like this or songs like this. But I think just the most natural thing that falls out is always the right thing to do. And when you try to get in the way of like, oh, this needs to sound more like this, then you kind of end up getting in the way of yourself, you know, and getting in the way of the song or what you really want to say. And I think like there was a time through the pandemic where I had such a writer's block, you know, and I was like trying to make everything good. And as soon as I gave up the idea of everything having to be good, then I never had writer's block ever again. And I think a writer's block is kind of coming from a place of you wanting to take the creation to be this level of good or sound more like this influence or comparing yourself to this or that, you know. And I think in itself, writer's block is not a real thing. It's some anxiety that you've attached or some comparison you've attached or something that you want out of creativity that's, you got to listen to creativity. You can't control creativity. It's not for you. It's kind of its own deity in a way, you know?
Well, see, you have all that knowledge and experience because you've been doing this for a while. You know, you get a top 10 hit on the Billboard Hot 100, people might use that overnight success. Where'd he come from? I was looking at our DMs, man. We were talking like you did a Warner showcase, I think back in 2020.
Yeah,
you probably had just got signed.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for
we've known
a
each other that
while.
long too.
It's
cool.
crazy. So I
Wow,
want to talk
Ted.
about this journey for people that might not know Teddy Swim's journey. So like you started, I've heard, like musical theater,
Yeah,
like
sure
sports.
did,
Like
yeah.
what were you like in high school? And just go through the whole
I
process.
was a punk in high school for sure,
Everybody
man.
was.
Yeah, I was. My poor mother, man. I'm sorry, Mom. I put her through hell. But you know, man, my best friend Jesse, he still plays in my band and writes and records with me too. And we've been best friends since like 8th grade, you know. And I've known him since like the 5th grade. So we're just like, his dad was in bands and his family was in theater and got me into theater.
And you guys were in a musical as well. You and your best friend. What musical was it?
Rant we did together our senior year. My very last musical I did with him was he played Mark and I played Roger in Rant. And that's my favorite musical of like all time. I could do every character that front to bottom of the whole show right now. That's my show.
From musicals, and then maybe you were in a band as well?
Yeah, I was in a bunch of bands, and I kind of came up doing a bunch of metal bands, metalcore and hardcore bands, post-hardcore, stuff like that. And I was like started screaming at first before I ever was singing. And you can actually still now find, I always bring this up and it's so embarrassing, but you can find it. The band's called Heroic Bear, and you can find my very first EP I did when I was like a senior in high school. And it's so bad.
It's still. I love that it's still on the internet.
It has to be, you know, because I always try to bring this up as much as possible because if somebody goes and listens to Heroic Bear, they could hear how bad we were, you know, and oh God, we were so bad. And I mean, at the time, everybody was like, oh man, like even in our little scene was like telling me I could sing. And I call my friends now and I'm like, why did you guys tell me I could sing, you liars? Why would you let me go on stage sounding like that? But, you know, at the same time, thank God they lied to me.
You should let me love you. Let me be the one.
You went from all of that, and then you found this sweet spot with cover songs.
Yeah, sure did. And
So where did that end up landing? How'd you end up deciding like this is what I want to do?
well, weirdly enough, I never wanted to do the YouTube cover thing. It was just that June 25th of 2019 is when I first started it because it was 10 years that Michael Jackson had passed away. And so I just wanted to do a cover of Michael Jackson to kind of pay homage to 10 years of him. I mean, he's the best ever, right? So I just wanted to put that up, and then it was crazy. We uploaded it, and then the next day we woke up and we were just like, saw like 10,000 views, and we're just like, 10,000 views, oh my
so
God. Like,
fast.
we were freaking out.
I wanna rock with you.
Oh, 10,000 views was so massive at the time. We were like, we're getting hammered tonight, boys. 10,000 views is huge. Now I'm like, again with diminished returns, now if like something doesn't get 1 million views, I'm like, no one cares
That's
about
so-
anything I'm doing. No one likes me. You know, it's so weird how that thing works. And it's also kind of some anxiety about, I guess now that we have loose control because now I have this like, I want that or like nothing, you know, and you're never satisfied, but now you're just like more bummed out if I don't have another 8 or now even this one, I'm trying to enjoy this and I'm like, I want the whole thing.
I
want
need
the
number
whole-
one.
Yeah, but what is it gonna get? What happens when you get that? You're just like still like, why doesn't this feel as good as I thought it? Why don't
You're
I have
always
any
gonna be
purpose from
chasing
that?
the
Yeah,
next
it's so silly that we do. I mean, I think it's the best part about, you know, what you want out of life is it never being enough. I guess you still stay a student to life and you still like want more and want more and want more. But also I feel like I got to find a balance on how to enjoy some success, but still want more and not just be like, I can't look at that. I want the diamond song. You know, I can't look at a platinum black. I don't want that. You know, it's like there's something in my brain that says that, but also I should be taking those accomplishments and enjoying them as well. And there's a balance between wanting more and enjoying what you have. And I got to find that little fine line there.
Well, you said stay a student, and I feel like even though you now have the success with Lose Control, you're still doing covers. Like I saw the amazing cover you did for BBC of Cool Summer by Taylor Swift.
It's a cool summer, it's cool.
The best, you know. It's like the songwriting, the word, like the just lyricism, everything about, you know. And I just had this idea of that song. I wanted to flip it in like I guess like I've been on this like huge 2000s like The Fray and like Kings of Leon, like Hoobastank, like that old rock kick, you know. And I've been writing a lot of stuff like that too. But I don't know if that's just because I want to scratch this itch of like the first time I was in like 7th grade holding somebody's hand in the ice skating rink and like chasing cars came on by Snow Patrol, and you're just like, you could still smell those scents. And so I don't know if I just like want to scratch that itch for nostalgia's sake, or if that song, that sound can actually have a chance of coming back. I don't know, but I've just been obsessed with like How to Save a Life, you know, like You Found Me,
Oh
you know,
man,
like
what a song.
God. I've been so back into that feeling and that sound. It makes me feel so alive again, you know. I'm young and but I had that idea to do that with the Cool Summer, because that song in a way also made me feel young again.
Well, you have the magic for sure. You were talking about like the Michael Jackson cover in 2019. So it was only a year later that you ended up being signed. So how, that was super fast.
Yeah, we literally, it's quite strange, man. So June 25th we started, and December 24th of 2019 I got signed. So it was like a wild enough.
The day before Christmas?
Yeah, and it was not even 6 months. And wild enough, I had when that Michael Jackson thing happened, I went to my boys and I said, look, man, like, just give me like 6 months of your life. Like, let's all just get together. Let's just do this thing together. And so we all moved into this house together in Snellville. Like, it was a 5-bedroom house, and we built plyboard walls in between rooms and made like this place into like an 8-bedroom house. And I had a landlord, if they ever found out, I'm sure when we left, we definitely didn't get a deposit.
Y'all
back.
didn't get a deposit
No,
back. It was
absolutely
gone.
not. But so there was like 12 of us probably living in the house, maybe 15 of us there like every day. And for 6 months, we had our like merch distribution in the garage. My older brother would come and just mail stuff out, and we had 2 studios in there, and we're just working on this stuff. And like, all put our heads together for 6 months, and sure enough, like a day before 6 months, it was like it happened. We got signed.
Someone who loved you. Is this what it's come to?
And you got signed, and then what I really enjoyed about watching your journey is that you got all these cosigns. You were talking about Kelly Clarkson earlier,
Yeah,
being
wow.
a fan of you, but like
Wow.
you worked with obviously Meghan, Trainor, Maren Morris. Like, so many people in the industry were like, this guy is legit. So how did that feel, kind of being embraced by the industry so quickly?
And it feels incredible. I'm just so honored and so appreciative. And even now, going through TikTok, and I'll find like these amazing singers that are coming up, and I'll see like a Fall As You, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I mean, I've always what I wanted was to be the singer. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a real singer, and the singers that I looked up to also say, wow, what a real singer. And I think that's like, that is the most sweet thing to me, to know that like I'm the singer, you know.
When I look into your eyes, there's no answers I can find.
Well, now that you've had all these amazing cosigns, like, what's next? Like, who's your like dream collab? Who do you want to work with?
Oh man, Stevie Wonder's like for me is and Paul McCartney. I just like just the greats. You know, I still want to. I would do anything, like to just be in like a fly on the wall, and just see Stevie just in a just I don't know, just talk, just hear some advice, hear some words, and Stevie Wonder's just that.
You are the apple of my eye.
Al Green, like God.
I'm so in love with you.
Man, I would absolutely die to just Otis Redding, that's our number one of all time.
And see, you're listing these names, and I think that says so much about your voice and why there's so much soul, why there's so much depth to it. Because the people you're naming are people that are like you said, singers.
Yeah, no, I know, and you know, I'm grateful to be from Georgia too. I think I grew up in a greatest like melting pot of, I mean, all the best soul singers ever, all the best country music ever, all the best hip hop and R&B ever. I'm a little biased, but that's like just the hub of
state.
It's the hub of just of culture, you know, and it's so beautiful to have grown up in that environment and be raised by so much different types of walks of life and music, and they've influenced me so profoundly, I guess.
Walking down the street last night.
And you were talking about like not, always comparing yourself to success, but now that you have this top 10, album came out in September, you've been on tour. What's next? What's in your peripheral vision?
I just, at this point in my life, I'm, like I said, I used to have all these plans, and then you just get like hurt by plans and comparisons. And so now I'm trying to do my best this year to just get out of life's way. I find that I only like direct my attention to things that are in front of me that I like, that I want, and because those things are looking for me as well. So I just try to just walk forward with absolute dignity and try to make sure I'm doing everything with intention, every footstep with intention, and I think everything's just gonna fall into place like it should. So I'm trying to have a whole lot less expectations on life or because like I said, I don't want to like have all this, like I don't want to have this big number one situation and be like, man, that wasn't enough. So I'm just getting out of life's way and just being thankful for everything that comes into my lap. And I think that's just the most pure, innocent way that I can live right now is all I don't have enough, but also I'm not putting any expectations on anything else either.
No, that's a beautiful way to live. I'm so proud of you, man. Thanks for coming and
Thank you.
hanging out with us
Yeah, of
again.
course. I love you so much.
Love you too, man.
Thank you.